At this time, I will call our State Transportation Board of Georgia to order. I want to welcome everyone here, and I'm going to ask Jeff Lewis, our board member, to please lead us in invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Will you stand, please?
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we pause this time, Lord, bowing before you and just thanking you for all the blessings you give us. And Father, we just want to pray right now your blessings upon this meeting and these proceedings. Father, we want to lift up our colleagues who aren't able to be here this morning. Lord, we just pray your blessings over them. And Father, just as we leave this meeting, bless us, bless the men and women that work with this department. We ask this in Christ's name. Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to welcome everyone here this morning to our March board meeting. We have a lot to cover, and at this time, I would like to ask that, well, first of all, let me say that Board Member Robert Brown could not be here today. I've been in communication with him, and he has asked me to go forward with our meeting. So I will be our person in charge of our meeting this morning, so thank you. But I would like to ask Brittany at this time if she will do roll call for us.
District 1, Ms. Purcell.
Present.
2, Mr. Floyd. 3, Mr. McIntyre. 4, Mr. Brown. 5, Ms. Key. 6, Mr. Abel. 7, Mr. Bowen.
Here.
8, Mr. Golden.
Here.
9, Ms. Dunn. 9, Ms. Dunn. 10, Mr. Boswell.
Here.
11, Mr. Lewis.
Here.
12, Mr. Morris.
Here.
13, Ms. Lemon. 14, Mr. Sheeran. 4, Mr. Brown. 5, Ms. Key.
Present.
6, Mr. Abel. 7, Mr. Bowen.
That's a good echo right there.
Was that Stacy? All right, we're confirming that we do have a quorum with us today. So we will move forward and we will be eligible to be able to vote. Wasn't that 8? At least 8 present. So that has been confirmed by Brittany. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, could I make a comment, if I may?
Yes, sir.
I would just like to thank the board and all the employees and the phone calls I got that have been praying for me and my past sickness. Well, I still have it, but I'm feeling much, much better because of it. So I just want to make that comment, and I can't thank you what it means to me to have that kind of support.
And Board Member Rudy Bowen, we are so happy to have you present with us today.
Well, it's great to be here, I'll tell you.
Thank you for those kind remarks, and you will continue having our support.
Thank
you.
You
And Jean both. And thank you. Going forward, each of us have received our minutes of the last board meeting by email or mail, and I would now take a motion to approve those minutes or any corrections to those minutes.
So moved.
Any questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, likewise. The ayes have it, so therefore we move forward. Thank you. At this time, we have a report of our April letting, and I would like to ask Mr. Albert Shelby, our Director of Program Delivery, to come forward. Albert?
So good morning, Madam Chairperson in charge, Commissioner, and members of the board. I'm here to present the projects the department is proposing to advertise for the April 2023 letting. Before we present April, here are the FY 2023 results. We have let a total of 200 projects in fiscal year 2023. This chart shows the number of projects by improvement type. The value of these 200 projects is approximately $1.295 billion through the February 2023 bid awards, with 198 GDOT let projects worth approximately $1.243 billion and 2 local let projects worth $50.7 million. This chart shows the dollar amount distribution by improvement type, with maintenance, bridge, and road projects making up the bulk of these types. Here are the results of the February 2023 letting. of the 28 GDOT let contracts presented to the board, all were awarded. Now I'm going to discuss the projects in the April 2023 letting. We have a total of 23 projects, 22 are GDOT let, and 1 is local let. The next 2 slides list these projects arranged by congressional district. As you can see with this map, we are letting a variety of projects throughout the state to address bridge capacity enhancement, bridge maintenance, and safety concerns. As you may have noticed in a couple of slides back, 3 of our projects are signing and marking focused. We propose to let signing and marking projects throughout the state. These projects are great examples of our continuing commitment to improve our signage to keep motorists alert and to driving conditions as they occur. The first highlighted project will replace the structurally deficient bridge on J. Frank Culpeper Road over Enoch Creek. The existing bridge was constructed in 1964, 59 years ago. And here's a ground view of that bridge to be replaced. This project will replace the structurally deficient bridge on State Route 385 over Hazel Creek. The existing bridge was constructed in 1970, 53 years ago. And here's a ground view of that bridge to be replaced. This next project replaces the structurally deficient bridge on State Route 10 Loop, westbound and southbound over the Middle Oconee River. The existing bridges were constructed in 1964, 59 years ago. And here's a ground view of one of those bridges to be replaced. This project will replace the structurally deficient bridge on State Route 3 US 41 northbound over State Route 293, which is Old Altoona Road. The existing bridge was constructed in 1951, 72 years ago. And here's a ground view of that bridge to be replaced. The next projects will be advertised in April 2023 as design build. The actual let dates are in December 2023, but we are advertising them early to receive an abundance of quality bids. These transportation improvement projects will construct 2 new interchanges on State Route 316 at Bethlehem Road and Barber Creek Road through 1 design build contract. The selected design builder will provide design and construction services for the project. The design build projects will improve traffic operations and mobility along State Route 316. So we have 23 projects proposed for the April 2023 letting with 22 GDOT let and 1 local let project. This chart shows the distribution by improvement types. The estimate of the projects in the April 2023 letting is approximately $145.8 million. This chart shows the dollar amount distribution by improvement type. I now ask for your consideration for approval of the proposed projects presented for the April 2023 letting.
You have heard the information for our April 2023 letting. I need a motion and a second, and we'll have discussion. Do I have a motion that we accept the letting? We have a second. Are there any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, likewise. And now we have the April 2023 lettings that have passed. Thank you so much. Next on our agenda is the revision to our construction work program. Matt Markham, who is our Deputy Director, Office of Planning. Thank you, if you've come forward.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioner, members of the board. Thank you. It's a pleasure to come before you to bring you proposed revisions to the construction work program. There's one revision coming before you today. It is for review. It is an addition to the work program. You can see it here on your screen. I'd be happy to take any questions. Otherwise, we will come back to you next month for this proposed revision to be approved.
Okay. Do we need a motion on this
No, ma'am,
one, but
this is
to
just
next
for
month?
review. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any questions? Seeing none?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, from the Commissioner, we will have our monthly report. Commissioner Russell McMurray.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Boy, everybody's tired, it sounds like. All right. Well, it's great to be before you again today and provide you the update for this month. And we'll start, as always, with our state fund collections for February. It's really good to be able to respond that we do have state fund collections now. $139.35 million, in fact, of collections for the month of February. The breakdown on that was $119 million in excise, and then about $20.29 in transportation fees, which brings us to the $139 million. So that brings fiscal year to date to $265 million, of which the total of that year to date is 115 roughly in excise and about 150 in transportation fees. So as you heard yesterday, though, don't worry, from Angela in their budget presentation, our amended budget year has about $2.26 billion in state funds and excise tax, and in 2024 about $2.27 billion. So we are in good shape from a funding point of view as the legislature has passed a 23 budget, amended 23, and 24 is still under consideration, but looking forward to that passage very soon. Next is our employment figures for last month, 3,788 employees. We hired 57 employees and had 42 separate, so we netted about 13 there. So that's, again, on the positive side, and as we heard yesterday from Heroes, the challenge in retaining and recruiting Hero operators, at least as we're continuing to try to move headcount back up, we're seeing a little bit of a positive trend as it relates to last month. Let's hope that continues. That's certainly our intent. The next item on the agenda here is the professional services procurement update for the month of February. We had 123 contracts executed, right at $41.3 million for engineering and design, right-of-way, geotechnical, and professional services that it takes to deliver projects. That brings fiscal year to date to 1,112 contracts executed, valued at over $500 million at $529 million of professional services contracts. So things are moving forward there. All right, let's move into some projects that opened to traffic since we were last together. And we'll start with a local bridge investment in Congressional District 2, which is Marion County, and that relates to our GDOT District 3 in the Thomaston District. This is local and bridge investment was replacement of the bridge and approaches on Brantley Road at I'm gonna miss this up, Kinchafooney Creek. And so say that 5 times fast. All right. Southern Concrete Construction Company was the contractor. Opened to traffic on February 2nd, which is Groundhog's Day, I believe. And then that was an investment of $1.6 million on this bridge replacement. You can see a very good-looking bridge there. It's structurally sound and it will last a very long time. The other good news about this, this project opened ahead of schedule. So thanks to Southern Concrete Construction Company for that. We'll stay in Congressional District 2 on our next project and talk about a capital maintenance investment project. You can see on the map, it's right at 7 miles of milling and inlay and plant mix resurfacing, and also the shoulder rehabilitation for safety along State Route 96 west of Sumter's Creek over to Nokomis Creek. The contractor for this is Robinson Paving Company, and opened up to, or finished up on February 24th, represents a $3.5 million investment to resurface those almost 7 miles of roadway. And there's a after picture of that. Now we'll move into the next project, which is a safety investment out of the Highway Safety Improvement Program in multiple counties, Columbia, McDuffie, Newton, Richmond, Tolliver, and Warren counties, which are all in GDOT District 2, but covers Congressional Districts 7, 8, 10, and 12. So we clicked off a lot of congressional districts on this project along I-20, as you can see. And it's the installation of the cable guardrails that you see out in the medians. The contractor was RMD Holdings, also does business as Nationwide Construction Group. The project was completed February 13th. It represents a $8.3 million in safety improvements along I-20. And I might add that the cable barriers have proven effectiveness of about a 74% decrease in roadway departure fatalities and injuries. It certainly eliminates crossover head-on crashes that could be very bad. So again, using our data, a lot of data-driven decisions about where these cable rails go, it certainly has proven to be a life-saving safety countermeasure to keep people safe, and with great return on investment as well. We see a 8-to-1 return on investment or benefit to cost for installing these cable rails. So a great safety improvement there along I-20. Next, we'll move into another project I'm really excited to announce about, and it's a project in Congressional District 12 over in Columbia County, which is a major interchange reconstruction, and also, as I said, it's a TIA project. So as you remember last month, Kenneth had confetti and the presentation of 10 years of TIA. Well, this was part of the first TIA round in the CSRA TIA region, and this is a really exciting project to get done. And I know Kenneth's really excited because he had a lot of activity of local interest because the project truly was behind schedule, regrettably. I have to report that, but a great outcome. Here's a great aerial view of the new interchange, which is State Route 47 or US 221 over I-20. The bridge is a 65-foot wide bridge with 5.5-foot sidewalks and a 4-foot median. And then, of course, you can see the roundabouts, which move traffic so effectively, efficiently, and mostly, for sure, safely. And what you can't see from the aerial photograph is all the industry that came along while this project was being built. In fact, 2 Amazon facilities, one a distribution, one a sortation facility, is right off the screen. Also, Club Car, who makes just a few of golf carts, is right off the screen. And also Southern Beverage Distribution, which is a major water distribution business there. And there's a parallel frontage road to I-20 that has a lot of businesses in a really growing part of the county. So such a great project. It's going to serve Columbia County so well, and especially all the freight and logistics that come from Amazon. It was a real challenge. That Amazon facility went in as we were building this project. And so thank goodness for TIA that brought this project to reality. TIA funds were $5.4 million out of the $12.8 million total investment. The TIA dollars made this project accelerate, and I don't think that Amazon and the other things would be there today if they didn't know that this project was going to make that difference going forward. So anyway, as I reported, I'm sorry to say this one was not on schedule. There are a lot of complexities and a lot of reasons for that, but it is completed today and will serve Columbia County in this area for a very long time. All right, we'll move away from projects now and just provide, as always, some updates, honors, and achievements. Let me start with congratulating our 4 board members that were reelected just a few weeks ago. We'll start in the 5th, the mighty 5th, with Stacy Key being reelected, and certainly wish Stacy a speedy recovery as well. It's hard to slow her down, but certainly wish her the best as she recovers. Emily Dunn in the 9th District, Jamie Boswell in the 10th District, and Dana Lemon in the 13th. So congratulations for our returning board members. And as you all know, we welcome 3 new board members. Kathy Williams out of Columbus for the 2nd District, Kurt Thompson in the 7th District, who hails out of Gwinnett County, and Michael Gravely out of the 14th. Will serve the 14th. So they will join us next month as their elections came forward. There you go. Thank you for updating the slides. And of course, I'd be remiss again not to thank the service of our current chair, Kevin Abel, and of course, Johnny Floyd. Johnny, this is 16 years, I believe, on the board, so thank you for your service. And Jerry Sharon, and Jerry let me know, regrettably, he was not going to be able to be here this morning as well. So, but thank you all for your service to this not only to this board, but to the state. And, of course, we had that recognition last month of the board resolutions for Mr. Abel and Mr. Floyd. So, one other item I'll just call your attention to, and I believe you're all aware of, but we certainly want to wish Kristen all the best with the birth of Addie Elizabeth on March 9th, and wish her and the family all the best as she's at home now with 3 very small children. So she's got her hands full, but everything went well, and so glad and excited for Kristen and her family. Next item we just call your attention to was the AASHTO Washington briefing was held at the end of February. And it was a great opportunity to hear from leadership, the congressional leadership, over to providing briefings to AASHTO. We heard from Senate Environmental Public Works member Shelley Capito from West Virginia. You might hear of her. She's obviously very influential in the Senate. Also from the Senate EPW committee, Tom Carper from Delaware. And over on the House side of Transportation and Infrastructure, the committee was Rick Larson, and they all provided perspective of the bipartisan infrastructure law, or IIJA, and their different views and sort of perspectives of how things are going. One of the things that certainly was talked about that we're all familiar with is that it's truly historic funding, but we're also seeing historic pricing at the moment. So we're not getting sort of the mileage out of the IIJA that everyone expected. But I will tell you, my observation from there is that it's sort of state to state. It seems like the states like Georgia that are really growing and excelling have those price pressures more so than a few of the more rural states that don't have a lot of growth. They haven't seen quite the price pressures that we've seen, especially in the Southeast and some of the other large states that are continuing to grow. So it's sort of interesting to see, but supply chain, commodities, pricing is up for everybody, but maybe not quite like what we've been seeing here in the Southeast in a lot of growing areas. The other thing they talked about is this year, congressionally, a couple of big things. Obviously, water resources is one that's being talked about, but also the Federal Aviation Administration reauthorization. We talk often about our surface transportation funds, which were in the FAST Act previously, and now in the IIJA, or Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, which was a reauthorization of a 5-year transportation bill. Well, this now is Congress has to authorize or reauthorize the Federal Aviation Administration funding bill. So that is something that is certainly will be played out through the various committees in Congress and between the House and the Senate. So very good insight, and it's always good to hear from these folks on these committees about what they're thinking about. And I think I can share too is, everything's local. And so it's interesting to see their various perspectives from their states that they represent, but obviously a very focus on delivery as we are here in Georgia as well. The other thing we had there was a federal roundtable with the modal administrators. We heard from Shaylin Bott, who is the new administrator of Federal Highway Administration. Shaylin, I consider a personal friend. I've known Shaylin a long time. He was at Delaware DOT. He was the commissioner at Colorado DOT. He led ITS America, and he also worked at US DOT before, I believe under Secretary Fox, if I recall correctly on that. So certainly have known Shaylin a long time. Very excited to have him in that role in leadership of Federal Highway. And so he was part of that, but we also heard from Robin Hutchison of Federal Motor Carrier Compliance Safety Administration, Veronica Vanderpool, who's the Deputy Administrator for the Federal Transit Administration. And so they had a nice roundtable discussion. Again, each sort of focused on their unique things, but all of them are very focused on delivery of the IIJA, Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. So the other thing we had opportunity to hear from was this, as you can see on the picture, is Secretary Pete Buttigieg. And that's Roger Millar, my counterpart out at Washington State DOT, who is the president of AASHTO this year, and had a little dialogue again from the Secretary's perspective of implementation. Again, a very common theme is implementation of bipartisan infrastructure law. specifically focused around the national electric vehicle infrastructure deployments that we've talked to you about, and we will be bringing forward in next month or the following month an update of where we are on the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program that we'll ultimately deploy. And sort of the highlight, too, of the day was a breakout meeting with the secretaries and commissioners of the DOTs, just with Secretary Pete and his modal administrators, including Undersecretary Polly Trottenberg. And so we had a little bit of a breakout meeting so we could have a little more focused discussion. Part of that discussion, I wanted to inform you, is a very complicated issue that is happening between US DOT and Federal Highway that has been in existence for many years. I think back to 2003 or 5 even. There is a discrepancy in the accounting systems that US DOT uses and Federal Highway uses to the tune of about $3.5 billion. This is not something new that happened on this administration or the previous administration. It goes all the way back to a conversion of one computing system to another, and the discrepancy exists. The complication today is that any funding or dollar that was prior to the bipartisan infrastructure law is being accounted for in one way, and the bipartisan infrastructure laws or money is being sort of segregated as how they account for the money. And to try to boil this down really simply is that when a federal project is closed out and there's money remaining on that project, those dollars have been authorized and approved, and they can be used for another project. This complication has caused Federal Highway to ask all the states to pause for a moment on reusing those dollars unless it's a budget neutral move. So for us, it's about $210 million of impact of dollars that we believe from previous federal funding that we could use going forward. So there's a little bit of a pause now. We can access up to about $10 million of that 210 at the moment, but just stay tuned. This is a very complex issue. It probably is going to take some congressional cleanup to get the reconciliation correct. But I don't want to alarm anybody, but it's being talked about. So I wanted to inform you if you hear something about it, is don't worry. At this point, even though there's sort of $210 million we're unsure about, we'll see what happens and keep you posted on that. Again, a very complicated issue. They talked in depth about that, and again, they've acknowledged it. They're trying to, and believe me, they've done everything you can imagine from forensic auditing to go back to see why there's a $3.5 billion difference. And so, but they're working forward. We'll keep you posted, and certainly at this point, there's not a big impact that causes us great concern. I'd say it does cause us concern, but it doesn't cause us great concern at the moment. So we'll keep you posted. All right, that was a lot of complication. Let's move on to something good here. Very excited to have 3 of our team members out of the P3 division, Office of Alternative Delivery, participated at the Design Build Institute of America meeting just a few weeks ago. And that's our own Marlo Clowers, Andrew Hagnig, that you've seen here before, and Daryl Van Meter, who's our Assistant P3 Division Director. We're all part of a session titled An Overview of the GDOT Alternative Delivery Methods, where they walk through all the tools in the toolbox that we use and deploy here in Georgia. So this is a high honor for our 3 team members to share to the rest of the nation how we do alternative delivery, such as design build, the design build finance, like we're doing on the I-285, I-20 East Interchange and West Interchange, design build finance and maintain, as well as design build finance, operate, maintain, like we will be doing on the commercial vehicle lanes on I-75. And lastly, the construction manager, general contractor that we've talked about that we'll be deploying for the Savannah River Crossing Talmadge Bridge cable replacement project that came before this board a month or 2 ago. So congratulations to them for representing GDOT so well. We have a fantastic team. They all do amazing work, and it's great to be able to share this information and learn from others as well across the nation. So congratulations to Marlo, Andrew, and Daryl for them representing us. Okay, moving forward, changing gears and moving into transit, since we are the Department of Transportation and truly multimodal. At the end of last month, our Office of Transit Programs released the 2022 implementation report for our statewide transit plan. If you recall, back in 2020, we developed the statewide transit plan. While that transit plan offered a glimpse of the future for transit throughout the state, looking as far as the year 2050. That's the horizon we're doing a lot of planning for here in Georgia. So it really aims to improve the access and connectivity of rural and small urban communities across Georgia to truly be a multimodal approach for people's transportation needs. The implementation report basically provides updates and shows the performance measures that we use and track to make sure that we're being successful as we implement projects working with these transit providers. A couple of the highlights I'll just call your attention to for 2022 was addition of rural transit service in Chattahoochee and Harris counties. They previously didn't have any transit opportunities there, so it's great to have 2 new counties added. It also shows that our expansion of counties with transit development plans are now 98 counties. And so now, again, everybody's planning and getting getting all their momentum planning, looking at this 2050 horizon. Also, there was an addition of 2 regional transit development plans. Again, something we very much advocate for is a regional solution to transit instead of a single county solution, because you can optimize your travel patterns and optimize costs by serving greater than 1 county. So very excited about that. And also expansion of providers using some of our traffic count data and reporting data from third parties, making that data available to transit providers, and also updating their websites. Actually, 84 transit providers were able to expand and provide better website information. So very exciting. So since we published that 2020 transit plan, almost now 90% of Georgians have a transit option to be served. We launched the Let's Ride mobile application. Again, everybody's working on their phone apps, right? So you have a Let's Ride app now that you can get your transit trip from. And again, since 2020, 6 additional counties have come online, provides service. And again, as I mentioned, the regionalization approach to transit, Southern Georgia region is a model which they've expanded their inter-county trips and provided more flexible panels. Certainly want to give Southern Georgia Regional Commission and that region a shout out for doing some really good work. So anyway, also addition of 3 multimodal transit centers have come online, Albany, and obviously 2 here in Metro Atlanta. So I remind you as the board, as we presented a few months ago, the Transit Trust Fund Formula Program, where, as Angela talked about yesterday in the budget, the Transit Trust Fund fees that are generated from rideshare and car services will be used to deploy to help our small urban and rural transit providers do more transit service with this additional funding that they can apply for and go after these grant dollars. And if you recall from that presentation, it's focused in 3 areas. Well, 1, the population that they serve, each transit provider serves, a regional formula bonus, if you will, again, to incentivize counties to go together to do multi-county or regional approach to get scales of economy and efficiency. And thirdly, an equity formula, basically counties that are below the poverty level, their median income is below poverty level, they get some additional resources because they're the ones that have the least revenue to be able to provide services that are usually in the most needed areas. So that is, applications are out now. Our intermodal office and transit program managers are working through that process now, but really a really good boost for transit across the state. Now let me transition from transit into a great partnership that we have with the Georgia Department of Natural Resources. Really appreciate Commissioner Williams over there and the great team that he has working with us on many fronts and many areas. But this one is sort of a neat partnership, as we have over time done mitigation, stream mitigation, wetland mitigation, and buying properties for that reason. As we have done those mitigation projects, those properties have lots of conservation benefits and a lot of conservation value. So, in many times, the DNR have helped us manage those properties anyway, and so we're actually going through a process now of continuing the relationship and conveying ownership over to the DNR. We still will enjoy and get the benefit of the mitigation credits that were necessary or that we did for project developments, but the DNR will now hold title to that property and actively manage those properties for us. And so just a great partnership. So we've got two parcels, or we call projects, but just think about land, 2 areas that we have conveyed to DNR, a 720-acre tract at Black Creek Tract in Taylor County, and then 142s at Nehemiah Tract in Lee County. So we have at least 10 properties to transfer in this year, and probably 9 or more in 2024. And this is just a great partnership. DNR is very excited to be able to manage this land, continue to do the conservation, wildlife management areas and the like, and we still get the benefit of having our credit. So a really great partnership, and getting this property in the hands of DNR, who can manage it more aptly and take better care of it going forward than we do. So just want to bring that to your attention. Ultimately, I know I've talked to Commissioner Williams that we might want to do like a little joint board, something at some point to acknowledge this former relationship when we get more of them done. But getting the first 2 done is really big. It sounds easy that you just deed somebody some property. It's a lot more complicated than that with all the mitigation and everything that goes along with it. But just wanted to bring that to your attention, and then thank DNR again for the great partnership we have with them. And Madam Chair, let me conclude with, again, our focus on safety. We can't talk about safety enough. And it's so vital that we continue to focus and share with our youth and educate our kids early on about the dangers of driving and how they can be attentive and safer as they become drivers. And you got to reach them young. So we've had our 4th now Safe Driving Summit with the LUTC 43 Foundation. I know Mr. McIntyre participated in the last one over in his district. This one was up in Gainesville at Lanier Technical College, and it was fantastic. Again, targeting those young drivers before they begin to drive, so that they don't form bad habits, and get them excited about what opportunities there are for safety. You can see some pictures here. Again, well attended, several hundred kids being able to get through there, up there. And again, Mike Luxenkirchen did a fantastic job, as he always does, of assembling people, truck drivers, the trucks, law enforcement. I actually got a great email from the Department of Public Safety, Georgia State Patrol, about how touched they were to be a part of it. And it was really neat to see how much it meant to them as law enforcement that they had that opportunity, that our partnership with LUTC 43 it gave them to, again, reach our kids. So truly, this is really great work. This kind of thing is not a piece of infrastructure. It's not a cable guardrail. It's not a sign or reflector. But this investment will pay dividends that we'll never know, and is so important. And so I'm just extremely excited to see this happen. I know Ms. Lemon has reached out. She's got a great connection for us in her district to, again, get to a school system. So as you have contacts either with your technical colleges or your school systems, it really takes a school administrator to say yes to allow their students to leave campus and go participate like this. So if you have those relationships, please share that. We'll be glad to facilitate that and make that happen so that we can continue to reach kids from every corner of this state. So, Madam Chair, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. That was a great report. A lot of wonderful things happening across our state, and thank you to our employees for being so faithful and being out we could not do it without the whole team. And we appreciate you always recognizing our groups as they have gone out and done various things. And as you just said, safety is certainly a priority, and it continues to be and always will be. And I encourage all of our board members that anytime you have an opportunity to speak, that please talk about safe driving and all the things that we need to be aware of to let our young people be aware of also. So it takes a huge team, and we can certainly be a part of that team as we go forward. Now, is anyone else wish to make comments or ask a question to our commissioner in regards to the report? Seeing none, thank you so very much, Commissioner. We'll move into our action items. Yesterday, we held our board meetings, our committee meetings throughout the afternoon. One item that came up was we have one member, a board member of ours, Jerry Sharon, that is also retiring from our GDOT board. A resolution has been prepared for him. He was unable to attend today with us, even though he was with us yesterday. So I would like to extend to our board to a request to ask for a motion to adopt the resolution so that it will be placed in our minutes, so we can have a vote.
I move we adopt the resolution. Second.
I have a motion and a second. And any questions? Then I call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed likewise, the ayes carry it. Thank you so very much. Now we'll move forward to our committee reports. First report will be the financial report, and I will ask our Vice Chair, Dennis McIntyre, if he will bring that report to us.
Finance Committee convened on March 15th, 2023 at 2 p.m. Board members present included Dennis McIntyre, Ann Purcell, Rudy Bowen, Emily Dunn, Johnny Floyd, Stacy Key, Jamie Boswell, Jeff Lewis, Daniel Lemon, and Jerry Sharon. First order of business is Angela Whitworth, Treasurer, presented the amended 2023 Conference Committee version and the 2024 House version budgets. She reported that revenue for the amended 2023 budget increased by a total of $168,840,436. This reflects an increase of $89,080,472 excise, $351,479 transfer of Greta to Serta, and $79,408,485 state general funds. She reviewed the House version of the 2024 budget, which increased by a total of $173,746,697. This reflects an increase of $119,123,790 in excise, $51,347,452 in transportation trust funds, $7,669,713 in transit trust fund fees, and a reduction of $4,745,737 in state general funds. I'm not used to reading those big numbers coming from my background, so I hope I did those correctly. Being no further actions taken, Chairman McIntyre adjourned the meeting at 2:17 p.m.
Thank you so very much for that report. We move forward with the Legislative Committee, of which I chair, and the Legislative Committee convened at 1:30 yesterday. The board members present were myself, Floyd, Sharon, McIntyre, Key, Bowen, Dunn, Boswell, Lewis, and Lemon. The first order of business, Joshua Waller, our Director of Policy and Government Affairs, provided the post-crossover day legislative update to our committee. He summarized the most recent updates to House Bill 189, the truck weight increase legislation, as well as the two companion bills dealing with electric vehicles charging, permitting, and the regulations. Finally, he provided the detailed highlights of House Bill 617, the Georgia Freight 2050 bill. There was no action taken by our committee, and it was adjourned at 1:57 p.m. At this time, I would like to ask Chairman Jamie Boswell, Chairman of the Program Delivery Committee, to bring his report forward.
Program Delivery Committee 2:17 p.m. Board members present include myself, Dennis McIntyre, Ann Cassell, Jeff Lewis, Emily Dunn, Johnny Floyd, Stacy Key, Rudy Bowen, Dana Lemon, and Jerry Sharon. First order of business, the state traffic engineer, Alan Davis, provided an overview of the department's traffic signal operations and maintenance program, known as SIGOPS. The evolution of the program from its early days, previously known as the Regional Traffic Operations Program, to its current statewide implementation were discussed. An overview of the technology and resource investments were presented as well. The presentation concluded with an overview of the day-to-day impacts the program has across the state, from emergency operations to improving mobility on arterials across the state. There being no further actions, I adjourn the meeting at 2:36 p.m.
Thank you so very much for that report. The committee as a whole was held yesterday afternoon at 2:45 p.m. The board members present were myself, Floyd, McIntyre, Key, Bowen, Dunn, Boswell, Lewis, Lemon, and Sharon. Our first order of business was the state's transportation or traffic engineer, Alan Davis. He provided us an update on the Highway Emergency Response Operator, or known best to us as the HERO program. A recap on the projects and the program's originality, the benefits of the program to the state, and the current state of the program were provided. HERO Manager Jason Joseph provided an overview of the innovative ways the unit is working to retain staff and recruit new operators. Lastly, the importance of the program for traffic management, responder safety, and emergent operations were discussed by the committee. There being no further business, the meeting was adjourned at 3:15 p.m. And that concludes our action reports as from yesterday's committee meetings. I call for new business, and at this time, I would like to ask Matt Klein, who is our general counsel, to come forward to give us an update on the board leadership.
Very good. Thank you, and good morning. I just wanted to provide a quick update on board leadership, specifically what happens in the event when the chairmanship becomes vacant, which will occur next month. I got really excited. I was going to read my Robert's Rules of Order and dig down into it, but it turns out it's actually in our board bylaws. It's very straightforward and simple. What happens in the event of a vacancy is the vice chair moves up to the chairmanship automatically, just through the bylaws, and then that creates a vacancy in the vice chair. Secretary, who is elected by the board, of course, stays the same. So basically, that's the kind of order. It does create that vacancy in the vice chair, but that's not an issue because the chairmanship's filled. The other thing I wanted to note is it doesn't affect anybody's eligibility for the election in August because they'd be partial terms as opposed to full terms. And really, that's like I said, I was excited to kind of dig down into it, but it was pretty straightforward in the bylaws. And unless anybody has any questions, I just wanted to make sure kind of everyone's on the same page and knew how that process went.
Do I have any questions? Well, thank you, Matt. Appreciate that very much. We all were interested in getting an update as to our leadership position.
Very good, thank you.
So thank you. Any other new business to come before this board? The only thing I want to say is I invite you to St. Patrick's Day in Savannah, Georgia tomorrow. We have our fountains green, we have everything around green, and I did not wear green today because I will be dressed in green tomorrow. So that's exactly right. But anyway, you're invited there, and I wish everyone a safe, happy St. Patrick's Day. A lot of people are traveling because of spring break, so keep safety in mind as we go forward. Seeing no further business to be taken, this meeting is adjourned.
Perfect timing off one